Check 1, 2. Can you hear us? Turn it up. Turn it up. Notice Kim is out of uniform today. She forgot her shirt. I said, I love you.
That camera's too close.
You guys hear okay? We are actually piped into the system here, so when Mark starts his presentation, you should hear it loud and clear. Let me show you the camera angle that you're going to see. Now, the only worry I have is you might not be able to see the slides perfectly, but I happen to have the 5 pictures that are going to be the most important. And folks, if you're watching at home, I feel like I'm calling a golf game. And now on the 18th green, Tiger Woods with a 5-iron. No, with a putter. No, what was I saying? Oh, you can ask questions. You see, if you ask questions during the presentation, I'll be able to write them down on my index cards and pass them along to the team here. So if you have any questions as we move along, that's my trusty sidekick right here. It's going to write down some of the questions. I should probably write them down because I have better handwriting. And we are going to be here tomorrow night, too, at 4 o'clock for the FDOT presentation. She's not coming because she didn't like the drive through the traffic. A lot of traffic today. So you can type your questions in the chat box. Got a nice crowd. Some seating left. Joan is in traffic. Well, Joan, you can tune in until you get here. They were thinking about maybe waiting until 10 after or quarter after 5 before they started because of the traffic, but I think they're going to start very shortly. Really, the beginning part of the presentation is all about London Bay and, what they built down on Bay Beach. So if you're driving in traffic, that's the part of the presentation that you're going to miss. And then they get into the presentation about the Outrigger property. There will not be anything about the Charlie's Boathouse property because they're not ready to talk about that yet. It's mostly the Outrigger property that you've seen pictures of on our site. And why do you keep hitting me? What are you trying to hear me for? You never want to hear me. All right. They're getting ready. See, the only worry I have, that's marked there, is you might not be able to see the slides perfectly. So we'll see. But you will be able to hear loud and clear, which is really, when might you start FDOT transport presentation? I don't know what that means, Rick. Tomorrow night will be the FDOT presentation with Let's Go FMB. We will carry that. So we're going to keep it right here until they get rolling, which could be any minute. Is there anything you want to tell your fans out there?
No, I'm good. Welcome, everyone. Oh, it looks like we're getting ready to get started. No. Listen, I can't really complain about the traffic looking at Estero, so. Somebody had a question back up there.
Can you ask London Bay why they don't put the condos on Charlie's property and leave the beachside, the pool, restaurant, or what is the total square footage? I'm going to write that question down. Okay, we're already live. 1 minute morning.
Very good. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming down tonight. It's much appreciated. So just to, before we start, I just want to say thank you to the elected officials for joining us tonight. There's several, thanks to Beach Talk Radio, got Ed and Kim here, and they're broadcasting live. We're also streaming this through our own website, and obviously there's live here. So the one thing I'd say before we start is, if you don't mind, if you've got cell phones, please turn them off for the ringers. It doesn't really bother me, but anybody that's streaming in or listening on Beach Talk Radio, it can get a little annoying. So with that, let me just take you through the format. I'm going to talk for about 40 minutes, something like that, to give you an overview of the project. And then there's going to be plenty of time for questions. We're going to take questions from people on Beach Talk Radio, those that are streaming through London Bay, and obviously everybody that's live here in the audience. We'll walk around with the microphone, right, so everybody can hear the questions and just take it from there. So with that, let's start. So for those of you that don't know London Bay, I'm going to give you a quick background to the company. London Bay has been around now for actually over 3 decades. We started the business back in 1990, and over the last 3 decades, we've garnered a reputation as one of Southwest Florida's leading builders and developers, and we only develop and build in Southwest Florida. I actually founded the company with my wife, Gemma. The very first house we built was in Fort Myers on the river in St. Charles Harbor. And then from there, over the years, obviously the company has grown over the 3 decades to be the kind of comprehensive building and development company that we are today. I think it's worth pointing out that we're a local company. That's obvious, right? 3 decades here, but also all of our management is local and all of our ownership is local. Why does that matter? Because we're committed to Southwest Florida. We're committed to Fort Myers Beach, and we're not in here to come in and build something and leave again. We're here to stay. Hopefully we'll be here. We've been here 33 years. Hopefully we'll be here for another 3 decades. Got a fabulous team. We've got about 150 people now at London Bay, great professionals in what they do with lots of different expertise. And over the years, we've been fortunate with that team to build a reputation for integrity. We do what we say we're going to do. We give a very high level of customer service. We've always been operating at the luxury end of the market. We've always been forward thinking in design and pushing the design of whether it's houses or projects of what we do and paying attention to the design. Professionalism in the way that all of the team manage themselves, and financial strength. And financial strength is important. To do a project of this size, you need size. We know that we could go easily through another economic cycle. We probably will go through an economic cycle as we do this. And you need the wherewithal financially to be able to weather that situation. And God forbid we have another storm like Ian, you also need the financial strength to go through that. So that's one of the things that I think is important. As well as building a really great team of individuals and helping them grow professionally, we've also been a Blue Zone company just about since Blue Zone started. So in addition to helping our team professionally, we also care about their wellness and how they do as individuals. And that's just to give you a bit of a flavor about us as a company. Here's a few pictures. We work very hard, but we also can have fun together. And whether we're out on a boat or doing a charity raise with a food truck in a car park, an opening event, and whatever, we think it's important to work hard, but also have a bit of fun together. So let's just talk about what we focused on, our own expertise. As I say, community development is something we understand, we know how to do. We've been in home building for 33 years, still a very substantial single-family home building company. Very experienced development team, which is important. We have a remodeling division. We have an interior design company we've had for 25 years, Romanza, who works very closely with us, Romanza Interior Design. And we've also got our own architectural team and architectural studio. So today, starting with just myself and my wife, over the last 30 years, we've built ourselves into quite a substantial company. And just to give you an idea of what we've done, this is just one of our homes sitting out on a golf course, a beautiful outdoor space. This is Moorings Park, Grand Lake. This is a senior living community down in Naples, which is really one of a kind. This will be 284 residences when we complete it. Total of 16 buildings. We're now on building 11. We've got 4 more to go after that. But I think what's important is we took a look at the market, designed something exactly to that market, and there is probably no other community quite like this, certainly in Florida, but probably in the country. And what you're looking at there is absolutely lovely pool and the clubhouse, but that is the clubhouse for the senior project that we've built. This is the Ritz-Carlton Residences, Estero Bay. This is now under construction right next to the Coconut Hyatt. And this is 2 towers, approximately 224 units when completed. But this is part of a 500-acre community that when we build out over the next decade or 15 years, will be approximately 1,000 residences. We've just opened a brand new golf course, Salt Leaf Golf Preserve. We've opened the very first 9-hole golf course in Southwest Florida, which is a really fun place. This is where we expect you to kind of enjoy being with the kids with flip-flops, or if you're with your buddies, you might be drinking a beer as you're playing. Serious golfers can use it for warm-up, but those who are not can just enjoy themselves, and we are building a new marina there as we speak. And this is just the inside of a home, one of our clients' den, not a bad place to take Zoom calls and do phone calls during COVID. And an outside of a beautiful home that we did. So core values, I think, are important. I'm just going to touch on it. Teamwork is pretty obvious. Working with our own team, working with all of our outside professionals and everybody that we interact with. Respect for each other. Respect for people that we work with, for our clients, for our trades, for our neighbors, and for those that we get involved with. Integrity, I touched on, dealing with people with integrity and doing what we say we're going to do. Commitment, again, commitment to each other, commitment inside the company, but if we're doing a project, commit to it, get it done, and do it right. And quality, we've always been at the higher end of the market, so quality is always important and something that's near and dear to us. And if we're all doing that, and I've got everybody rowing in the same direction on the boat inside the company, we can get great things done. And generally, they're all rowing in the same direction and we're getting great things done. So great bunch of people at London Bay. I want to quickly touch on Grandview that we've just opened here on Fort Myers Beach. And the purpose of this is London Bay has been committed, deeply committed to Fort Myers Beach for many years. We're not just coming in today to do a development. We bought this piece of land, I think back in 2015, something like that, and have just completed the building. And during construction, we created over 400 jobs. Over $1 million was paid in fees to the county, and about $1 million to $1.5 million a year goes in tax revenue as well. This was the very first residential tower. Obviously, it's at Waterside in Bay Beach. We took the last pad there, but this was the first tower that had been built in 15 years. And it's 11 stories over parking, 58 residences. I think what's really interesting is we've got some really nice amenities that we haven't seen before, great outdoor spaces, and places for people to gather in a marvelous lounge, some guest suites that people can rent for their family and friends, and also a nice bar and barbecues and so on. This is the outdoor space, but as you can see, a quality project that we committed to. We built this, and I was talking about times of struggle, through COVID, through supply chains, through Ian, and completed it, got it done. And today we've got many residents that are enjoying living at Grandview, and we love having them there. So obviously what everybody wants to hear today is, hey, what the heck is London Bay going to do with Outrigger? That's why you're here, and that's what I'm here to answer. But before I do that, I think it's important to just share with you that as we started looking at the piece of land and we started thinking about what we might do, we wanted to get input from the community and certainly from the leaders. So we sat down with the council members and other leaders in the community and said, okay, look, this is one of the few special pieces of land on Fort Myers Beach. It was a beloved place for people to go, both Charlie's and the beach bar. But we've got 3.5 acres approximately buildable on the beach. And we've got about an acre plus on the Charlie side looking over the bay. And there's some great opportunities. Perhaps there's one other piece of this size, and that's the Wyndham. And these are important pieces of land on Fort Myers Beach. What is it that you would like? So we got that information, and clearly as a builder that does condos, one of the options that we had was there was 144 units there of a hotel, build condos, right? That's pretty easy for us to do, but I think it got expressed to us that that's not what the city and people wanted. And quite honestly, from a personal and a company standpoint, from our team, we didn't really think that was either probably the best thing to do for the legacy of the property and the legacy of the beach. So what we heard was, we really want you to activate the beach. We really want to see if you can do a hotel and have hospitality there. Charlie's was loved. Can we see F&B? Outrigger was the place. It was the watering hole on the south end of the beach if you're on the sand. Can we see that come back? So as you look at this, Mark and the rest of the London Bay team, please think about those things and come back with something that you think would help fill all those needs. It needs to be financially beneficial, obviously, to London Bay. Otherwise, we're not going to do it. But try and think about what the benefits are for the community. So with that, I'm going to take you through this. And I want to give you a little bit of the storyline that we thought about as we went through this project. So just bear with me for this. We obviously, Fort Myers Beach, a well-lived beach town. 7 miles of gorgeous white sand, a very vibrant atmosphere, but a laid-back lifestyle, a fun place to come. Where was it? After Hurricane Ian, obviously Ian significantly altered Fort Myers Beach forever. Damages to homes, damages to hotels, the environment, local businesses, really disrupting our once thriving beach town. So I think the focus is now on recovery and rebuilding and trying to get this right. Where is it headed? I think in the face of adversity, Fort Myers Beach is embracing resilience. Though much building lies ahead of us, I think the community remains strong and together, which is great. But with this rebuilding, there comes opportunities. I think we can build a stronger community. We can create thoughtful improvements as we go through that, at the same time trying to preserve the unique character that Fort Myers Beach has and hopefully will have in the future. So what we're thinking about and what I'm hoping all developers are thinking about is not just building for today, but building for generations to come. And there's a nice proverb that we found. This is a Greek proverb, and I think it's worth just taking you through this. A society grows great when people plant trees whose shade they will never sit. And that just comes back to this point. We're not doing this for today. We're not doing it for tomorrow. We're doing it for future generations. So I think it's important that for London Bay, for other developers, and I think for the city to step back and say, let's establish a vision, build a foundation, and then support the evolution of what could be. I think, lovely picture of the Outrigger that was, but I think it's important that we learn from the past, adapt to the present, and look to the future. And therefore, I think this is a new chapter in Fort Myers Beach, hopefully one that pays homage to the cherished past, while boldly embracing the promise of the future. And I think this is important. We need to be more than development. We need to celebrate vibrant spirit and create growth and resiliency in a town that everybody here loves and that everybody, I hope, will thoroughly enjoy in the future. So taking into account everything that I've said, the feedback that we've got as we've gone out and met people, it's important that we came up with something that we're building, not for now, but as I said, for future generations. So let me take you through what was. Outrigger was 144 rooms, and the Charlie's restaurant across the road with the great salad bar and all of that, which we all enjoyed going to, was 265 seats. What are we talking to you about today? What we're going to show you is a new hotel, which has approximately 100 rooms. Hotel condo, which is a portion of that goes into the rental program with the hotel, of another 50 rooms. A condo portion of this, which is for sale condos, of another 46, which is a total of 196. Yes, bigger than 144 units that was there previously, about a 30% increase, but we think it's a reasonable increase in density for what we're going to show you. But I think what was really important was what are the public amenities and what is the public going to get out of this, and how do we make Fort Myers vibrant again? So let's start with the public access. Again, you can do public access in a number of ways. And we thought it was important to celebrate that public access and create a linear park. It could be just a pathway of 20 feet, right? It could be tarmac just going straight down there. You walk straight down the side of the building, there's the beach, and be done with it. That is beach access. We said, no, let's step back from this. We think there's a better way of doing it. Let's create a linear beach park. And let's make sure that when people come off the beach, perhaps it'd be a great idea to have restrooms and showers. That's expensive for us to do because it has to be a hardened structure because it's going to be below the flood elevation, but we think it's the right thing to do. Also, let's make sure that the beach is a fun place to go. And when you're going down that access, that is bike accessible, there's somewhere to sit at the end of it, create a place where you can do games on the beach, and so on. And also make sure that it's enjoyable at night. People are going to go down there for sunsets, and when they're walking back to the cars or walking back down to their bikes or whatever it might be, make sure we got nice lighting through this linear park. Obviously, we need to think about turtle season and the turtles. We understand that, but we think there's also a way to do really nice lighting and make it approachable both in the evening and during the day. And again, here's just some images that I think is worth sharing with you of this pathway. Can be a very attractive pathway. It can have very nice landscaping, again, some coconuts, and these are just ideas of what we think and images of what we think can be done. And again, with landscaping, Ian devastated the landscaping along the beach. Whatever we bring in, we're going to make sure it's indigenous, that it will last extremely well, that is native. But let's make sure that we bring shade and somewhere for people as they walk down that pathway that they can enjoy. And when they get down there, we want to bring back the Outrigger beach bar. So our intention is to put the tiki hut back on the beach, and exactly what goes into that is difficult to tell you today, because again, it's forward of the coastal construction setback line and it's going to be low flood elevation. But there are places where this has been done, where there are power disconnects to the various appliances that allows you to open up the bar. Inside the building, adjacent to this, we will have a bar and we can get all of that done. But what we really want to do is activate this. If we get pushback on this, one of our other thoughts that we can do is actually have something like a food truck, that we can actually have those appliances in the food truck and create some food and some activity around that. But we're really going to go for the tiki hut and the beach bar as our main push. And at night, again, make sure it's a fun place to be. Activate the beach. I really like this image. This isn't where I was staying, but I was staying at a hotel once, and they just put a sail up on the beach through sound and projected a film. It's a cool place to hang out. Obviously, we can have a lot of fun in the sand and tiki torches and so on. So again, just making sure that it's a fun place, an enjoyable place to be. And maybe during the day, you can have yoga on the beach, non-turtle season, nice fire pits and seating around it. And just, again, thinking about how do we activate that beach so it's an enjoyable and fun place to be. One of the other things we think is important is, wouldn't it be a great place to have a birthday party, a wedding, a business occasion, any sort of celebration? So we have a ballroom on the 3rd floor with an event terrace that actually goes out onto the beach. And this would be for local people to be able to rent for their family occasions, or people that come to the hotel. So this could be a pretty cool place to have one of the events that I just spoke about. The hotel itself, we want it to have that Florida feel. We want it to be casual. We want it to be elegant. We want it to be casual, islandy in feel, something that you feel perfectly comfortable walking around in shorts and flip-flops. The lobby, again, colorful, islandy, casual, are all the thoughts that are going through our heads with the design team as we go through this. One of the other additions that we think is important, and especially for the south end of the island, is a grab-and-go marketplace, right? Somewhere, if you're down at the south end and you want to walk in the morning and grab a coffee, maybe a donut, or if you're healthy, a nice smoothie and leave the donut, that one's up to you. In the evening, a beer or a bottle of wine, cheeses, whatever it might be, but something that you can go and grab and enjoy. For those that are at the hotel or in the residences, obviously they have it available for them. But we would hope that this becomes kind of a gathering spot where you meet your neighbors. The restaurant. So everything I'm going to talk to you about tonight is all about the beach side. This is not about the bay side. We have decided, as lovely as Charlie's was and how much it was enjoyed, wouldn't it be fabulous if we brought that restaurant over to the beach side so that people could enjoy sunsets and look over the beach when they're dining and be out there, actually out on a deck enjoying us as well. But the same thing that I spoke about earlier about the hotel, it needs to be casual. We think it's islandy, colorful, relaxed, very good food, but we see this as 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the year that goes along with a hotel. Great place for locals and neighbors to come and enjoy. Great place for people staying at the hotel to enjoy. But as busy as Charlie's was, we think on the beach side, this could be even nicer. And the pool deck itself, during season, obviously, this will be a very busy place with the hotel, but perhaps in the summer we will do day passes, perhaps we'll do it in the season as well. We just need to measure that. But again, fun, relaxed, casual location that we're talking about for the pool and the surrounding deck. Something that we're really excited about that hasn't been done before on the beach is a new rooftop bar. As fun as it is to be down in the sand at the tiki hut, as it was with the old Outrigger, if you can get up in an elevator and get up to a rooftop bar and be able to be up there for a bite to eat or the sunset and a drink, we think is a great alternative. And we think both will have enormous demand and appeal. Again, we think this would be a favorite hangout for our local neighbors and everybody in town. So let's talk about the vision of this. This is not how it's going to look, right? We asked our architects to do, if you like, a balsa wood model of the scale of the project to help people understand what we're doing. So for you to understand, this is Estero Boulevard. Obviously, here is the water. And what we've got is, in style, an old Florida boutique hotel in terms of architecture, not contemporary, something that we think will fit in extremely well with Fort Myers Beach. The maximum in the hotels is 9 stories over a podium. The podium is 2 stories. Our minimum level that we have to be at is over 21 feet. We're actually at about 23 feet, but that gives us 2 levels of parking. So the 9 stories is the maximum height of the hotel over that 2 stories of parking. And then the rooftop bar takes it up another floor just in that area to 10 feet. As I mentioned earlier, the hotel is 100 keys, 100 rooms. The hotel condo, another 50 rooms. So total of 150 different units inside the hotel compared to 144 in the old Outrigger. And then in addition to that, we've got a separate condo building with 46 condo residences. Maximum here is 15 stories on the inside, steps down to 13, steps down to 11. So it's stepped architecture. The reception of the hotel is there, which is single story. So we think having different sizes and different heights is more interesting in architecture. We've had people come to us going, well, can't we just do this all at one height? Sure you can. You can build any building at one height. It's a lot less interesting architecturally if you have just a great big massive block all one height, and we think stepping the building up and down is important. Something I'll come back to as well is, I'm sure we're going to have questions about traffic tonight, right? Yeah. And yes, it did take me a while to get here. So, but one of the things we've designed with the building is with Estero Boulevard, we could have easily done a sweep up, sweep down, drop off right next to Estero Boulevard. But what we were concerned about there is the backing up of traffic on Estero Boulevard. What we've done is we've got it to pull in, sweep underneath the building and coming into a courtyard, so there's no backup or very little backup on Estero Boulevard. You'll see that better here. Here is the center of coming through, the center of the project. The reception is sitting in the middle of these buildings here. So just to take you through, again, what we see as the public amenities, the linear park, shaded park that I spoke about, giving beach access. Bike parking and golf parking, obviously thinking about some of the traffic and getting people to walk or bike or come by golf cart. The beach bar and potentially a food truck, or at least making sure that we can get some F&B out on the beach. Fun out, activate the beach showers and restrooms. Crosswalk across Estero Bay. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Access to valet parking. We're going to see this all valet parked. The lobby bar and restaurant that I spoke about, we see that as 300 to 350 seats total, bar and restaurant combined. The cafe and market, which is the grab and go that I discussed with you. The rooftop bar, 150 to 200 seats. And the ballroom and event space that people can have family occasions at. In addition to that, obviously, we've got a pool area, and we'll show you some more images later on, but obviously we've got pools down here for the hotel. Again, just to touch on height, the hotel at the front, 8 stories, side 9 stories, stepping up to 10. With the rooftop bar, the hotel goes down to a single level, and then the residential condos is 11, 13, and 15. And here's the beach. And this is just to show you something that's a little prettier in color. I'm going to chat about this, the walkway along Estero Boulevard. We think it's very important how this is handled. As I said, the driveway to bring traffic off into this courtyard so it doesn't stack up. Grab and go here. The entrance to the southeast corner of the building is here with some public art that I'll talk about. Linear park, very nicely landscaped, with some benches as you go down there. And when you get down here, we got public restrooms, the bar to the hotel, the tiki hut outrigger over here, pools as I've discussed, and here's the restaurant, here's the rooftop bar here. So obviously all of this Ed's going to have on Beach Talk Radio. We are posting all of this straight onto our website. So all of this information will be available after this presentation. And this is, again, just showing that beach access. This is not your 20-foot strip of tarmac for people to trudge down to the beach on. This is a very attractive linear park that gets people down to the beach. So let's look at as I said, people are going to talk to us about traffic, and I think it's just worth at this stage, before I show you some images of the building, to talk about traffic reduction. Traffic has always been an issue on Fort Myers Beach. It was an issue before the storm. It's an issue today. It's probably more of an issue right now because with so many homes and hotels being destroyed, we've only got 1/3 of the hotel units back to where we were. 2/3 are still not in use. Therefore, everybody is driving down to the beach because there's nowhere to stay down here. Obviously, it's great. Margarita has just opened and added about 250 rooms, but we've got a long way to go before we bring the hospitality and overnight stay back to anywhere close that it was, and the same with homes and the building that is going on. So our thoughts on traffic and helping traffic. bicycle parking, obviously, and get people to use bikes, golf cart parking and using golf carts. Encouraged the idea, we like the idea that we're hearing about a boat shuttle down the bay and drop-offs at various points. Again, helps reducing traffic. Encourage ride sharing. If people are coming from the airport, let's encourage them to use ride sharing, Uber and other companies. Airport shuttles, instead of everybody having a car, have airport shuttles coming down to our hotel. Hopefully also shared with other hotels, seem to make an awful lot of sense to us. Formers Beach trolley, again, everybody doesn't need a car. And for us to encourage a DRAC program where you don't rent a car, and we will work some program where you get a credit back on your room for not using a car. Obviously have not sorted out the details for that, way too early, but we think it's an excellent idea. And then the resort entrance itself, as I've showed you, designed to stop backup of traffic on Estero Boulevard and get it off, so we're not creating a traffic jam to slow down traffic as you go through this, as you get into the property. So with that, here's some images of what we're talking about. So this is 8 stories over parking, looking from Estero Boulevard across. And one of the things that I think is worth pointing out is the heavy landscaping that we're talking about, this being 8 stories, condos behind this. And if I go to the next slide, this is actually if you're walking down Estero Boulevard adjacent to the building. And with this, a couple of things that we've been working at was, if you've got a 2-story car park, how do you make it attractive? Because there's no 2-story car park that's exposed to the street that is attractive. So we think by doing tiered landscaping and making the car park disappear is a better way of handling this. I've been in meetings where we've had conversations about see-through car parks. The only time you see through a car park is when it's absolutely empty and there's no cars there. When it's full of cars and it's got trash receptacles and appliances and everything else, you don't see through anything. You see into a messy car park that is very unattractive. So what we've tried to do is create a very nice landscaped terraced area that actually hides the car park and you can't see it. The other thing that we are very cognizant of is after the storm and after Ian, unfortunately the landscaping has got totally blitzed. And as you walk down Estero Boulevard, sadly, there's very, very little shade. We think, well, we know that what we can do is create a very attractive sidewalk with trees, dappled light and shade for it actually to be a very pleasant place to walk down as you're walking down this into the grab and go to get your coffee in the morning instead of baking in the concrete and the hot sun. This is the southeast entrance that I spoke about. Here we've got the start of the linear park going down to the beach. You can just see here some of the golf cart parking possibly with the bikes. Here, a large piece of public art. I don't know if it's going to be the balloon dog. I happen to like the balloon dog. I happen to have a really small version of the balloon dog at my home, but the point I'm trying to get across is let's have fun with it. The beach has always been relaxed. It's always been fun. Let's bring a piece of public art that is notable and recognized, but is fun. And here you just start to see the architecture that we're talking about, that kind of older Florida feel. You start to see some shutter definition, nice columns, trellis ways, bougainvillea grown over the columns. And as I say, starting to see the walkway, again, landscaped down to the beach. Halfway down, perhaps, nice bench for you to sit and be surrounded by landscaping as you continue down. And again, heavily landscaped, so the building itself kind of disappears as you're walking down there. As you're walking down to the beach, we want you to be enveloped with landscaping, not feeling the structure that's sitting right next to you. And clearly this is fairly new for Fort Myers Beach. So many of the buildings are straight on the street and the parking is straight on the street and there's not a whole lot of landscaping. And we think there's another way to approach this that is more thoughtful and is a more pleasant environment for everybody to enjoy. And then when you get down to the end, again, we want to bring back the tiki hut of the Outrigger down here. And as I said to you, we got to work through the disconnects on how we get the appliances in there. But in the building itself right here is a beach bar. So we'll have a beach bar here. We want this to be the destination that people can enjoy. And then to activate the rest of the beach that I spoke about. We've got a huge piece of beach there. It's probably the deepest part of the beach on Fort Myers, and we actually own into that beach. Clearly, we can't build anything on that beach, but we can certainly activate it and make sure it's an enjoyable place for everybody to go to. And then the restaurant, as I said, instead of having Charlie's on the bay side, let's bring a fabulous restaurant over to the beach side, have an outdoor dining terrace where we can enjoy looking over the sand and out to the water. And obviously there's inside and outside dining there. The other thing I spoke about was the event terrace. If you're having a wedding, or a big birthday party, or any sort of celebration, what a lovely place to be able to rent and have your occasion looking over the beach, perhaps enjoying the sunsets and have an indoor-outdoor space for people to enjoy. And this is at the third level. And as I said, one of the things that we're really excited about is the rooftop bar. Here you can see the other buildings that are adjacent to us as you go down the beach. So as the sun goes down, you'll see the twinkling lights from the other building. The sun sets as the sun goes down as well. But a great gathering spot, and again, hopefully a place where neighbors can go, enjoy getting together, and obviously something that we hope that our hotel residents and residents would enjoy as well. And then I think this is an important picture to show, because one of the questions that we're going to hear, and totally understandably, is height. One of the most things that have been talked about is height. But we do believe that the south end of the island is different to the north end of the island, in that that is where the larger buildings are. And as you look at our project, proposed project here, and you look down the beach, and you're out on a sailboat looking back at the beach, it's pretty much in line with what is already there. Is it exactly the same? No. But does it stick out like a sore thumb? No. And we've all got our own opinions of that. And I know I'm going to get feedback from you, and that's why we do public meetings. So I think with that, I will just take you through kind of next steps. This is the kind of first, well, it's not the first public meeting. We did a couple of meetings with the people at Bay Beach because they have been our neighbors that we've worked with for the last multiple years. But, you know, this is the kind of public meeting, first public meeting. But what are the next steps? The next things for us to do is obviously to listen, take input, and then go forward with the submittal for a CPD. And that is a multi-step process that we're going to talk about. That will be reviewed by the staff and we'll get responses back, and then we have to respond to their questions. After that, we have to go in front of the ALPA and have a meeting with them and go through that process. And then after that, there is 2 council meetings, a first reading and a second reading. So we are at kind of mile 3 of a marathon, I think. And we've got many months to go, and the public will have lots of opportunity for input as we go through this process. So this isn't a one and done. This is the start of a long process. We've been through this many times before. We understand the process, and it does take time. So again, we're here to get your input, to answer your questions, hopefully to inform you, for you to understand a little bit about the company and our plans. And with that, we'll stop and I'll take some Q&A. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm on this side. My name is Angela, and I've got Laura on the other side. We have microphones, and we'll be coming towards you all for questions if you just raise your hand.
And then I think we've got questions that are coming in through Beach Talk Radio, and we're getting questions also through the London Bay portal as well. So I think what we'll do is kind of rotate through questions from the audience and through people that are online. So with that, let's start.
All right, I have a question.
Question is, if there's a restaurant going to be on the beach side, what are your plans for the old Charlie's property?
Yeah, great question. And the honest answer to that is we don't have an answer for you at this time. We've said, let's concentrate on the beach side. To us, that's the most important part of this. And to a certain extent, market will demand what we do on Charlie's. I'm not saying we're going to wait for the next 5 years or something to decide on that. It will be progressing. But we kind of said, well, what are all those things that we think is important to have on the beach? Let's do that. And then let's work on what we think is right for Charlie's. Could there be more F&B there? Yes. Do I think that with what we're doing on the beach side, there's an immediate demand for more F&B on that side? I don't think so. But not immediately. I think we've got to see the town getting built back. It's going to take time. As I said, we've only got 1/3 of the hospitality rooms, both rental and hotel, back. We've got 2/3 to go. The same with homes, right? There's only about 1/3, I think, that's actually got residents in them. We've got 2/3 to go. So we've got to time this for the kind of economic cycle and make sure we don't get too far above our skis, in front of our skis. We're doing too much at the same time. But good question, thank you. I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry. Say.
If you can just wait 1 second, I'll bring the microphone.
So I think the question was, what is going to be on the Charlie side? Does that mean you're doing another 50 condos on the other side? The answer to that is, again, I'm not being coy. I don't know. We have not decided what we're doing on the Charlie side. It's clearly not going to be the same as this side. And as I just mentioned, if you think about the economic cycle and thinking about what we think is going to fit there, that is how we're going to approach the Charlie side. And we wanted to concentrate on what we think that is the most important to the community, the most important to London Bay, and that is activating the beach and getting it going.
Mark, we have one right here.
My name is Dennis Alfieri from 165 Flamingo Street.
Hey, Dennis.
How you doing? I'm interested in, you mentioned water taxis, which will be coming down the intercoastal, I'm assuming.
Yes.
How do you propose to access your property with water taxis from the intercoastal?
Good question. And again, for everybody that lives on the street next to the canal, clearly a concern.
Yes.
And for us, we've got to think this one through, and I think we need to meet with you. Obviously, one of the opportunities is bringing water access down the canal and having it at the end where there is a dock. Clearly, if I'm one of the people that live on the street, I'm concerned about noise, I'm concerned about interruption, and I want to make sure that it doesn't interrupt our lifestyle. We get that. We need to do that. I live on the water myself, and I've got boats coming by me, and some of them are very respectful, and some of them aren't. And that's something that is near and dear to us. So it is something we're thinking about. But I'm hoping that the shuttles stop at multiple places, and so do others, right? As you're going down the beach, hopefully there's multiple places.
Right.
Mark, I have a question from Beach Talk Radio.
Yep.
Asking, will you be offering local residents a 25% discount?
Now, did they say on a drink, on a meal, or on the room? or on the condo?
He didn't specify.
The answer to that is, I don't know, right? We're way early for that. What steps do we need to do? We need to pick a hotel operator. We need to work with a hotel operator on how this is going to work, what the food and beverage is going to be. Do we think it's very nice that Margaritaville and others are doing a 25% discount at the moment for people? Yes. Do we think it's good to reward locals for their support? Yes. Do we know exactly what we're going to do? No.
Mark, we have a question back here.
Yes.
Mark, on the condos
Sorry, where
that are
okay, thanks.
are proposed condo residences, I'm assuming those will be also part of the hotel, or something like Gullwing or Point Estero, where people, you can either, if you own it, you can be in the rental process or program or not.
Great question. So in terms of the condos, I think I said there's kind of two component parts. So the hotel portion here with hotel condos, I mentioned there's 100 hotel rooms and 50 hotel condos. And those condos we see going back into the rental program. And they will get, people who buy those can use them for themselves, but also get income from them. They'll be smaller than the for sale condos. The for sale condos is the 46 that sit here. And that 46, we doubt very much that they will go into a rental program. We see that as kind of 2,500 square feet and up, possibly going up to the high 3,000 feet range. And if you look at what's happening with new condos on the beach, obviously that's pretty expensive property. And I don't think many folks will be looking to put that into the rental program, if that answers the question.
Yes, and then my second question to that would be, do you have a price range of what the for sale condos would approximately start at?
The answer to that today, no. But obviously what we're starting to see on the beach and the property adjacent to us is the price of new condos, brand new, thought out 2020 design is approaching $1,000 a foot plus and minus. By the time we build this out, obviously this is several years ahead. So obviously I would assume the prices will continue. But what if you said to me, what do I think the market pricing is at the moment for condos on the beach? 900 to 1,000, 1,100 a foot is the sort of numbers that we're seeing.
Mark, I have a question right here.
Yes.
Hi, Mark, and thank you for the presentation. My name is Scott Nist.
Hi, Scott.
And I own a property on Estero, which is now vacant because of Ian. I have two questions. One was similar to the one you just received, and that is, if we look back at the history of the Outrigger, it served a particular clientele. What's the hotel cost going to look like for the new clientele once this is built?
So again, a great question, right? And a lot of the conversation is going to be, can Fort Myers Beach, when it's built be the same as Fort Myers Beach was? And as much as many people might love that, the answer to that is clearly no. Land costs today at a totally different level. And our construction costs to build 2 stories in the air, to make sure that it is hurricane resilient and all to new codes, it's very expensive construction. So if you look at what Margaritaville is currently renting their rooms at, or selling their rooms at, we looked at this a couple of days ago, and I think if you're looking at any of the weekends over the next three weekends, it's kind of $500, $600, and $700 a night. Yes, we expect to be competitive and commensurate with that. No, it's not going to be what the hotel used to be. Yes, it will be a different clientele.
Understood. I think that's a fair answer, and I understand the details behind all that. It's not going to be easy for people to come back, and it's unfortunate.
Yes.
I don't know that there's really a solution there, but I think it's an important thing for developers everybody on the island to think about that. The second part of my question is, because of developers and all of this expensive stuff and all of the land that's being bought up, really high prices, my taxes are going up. And I'm curious if there's anything you guys can think of that can help the rest of us deal with that.
Good point. Good question. And do I have any bright ideas right now? Yeah, on the spot? No. I think there's two things that are going to go on, right? There's two competing things that are happening. Unfortunately, as we start to see valuations start to come back post-storm, we're going to see those appraisal prices start to move up. And as the town becomes more active and the rebuilding that I've spoken about happens, it's going to drive up prices as well. And it's a double-edged sword. Your taxes are going up and your properties values are going up with it. If you're living there, the rising property values don't help you until you sell it. I totally get that. But I haven't seen a way of stopping that rising tax value other than if you're homesteaded, right? And then your maximum is 3%.
Well, if you can just think about that when you think about the value you bring to the community.
Yeah.
Think of the cost you bring to the community.
Right. Thank you. Good point.
We have a question back here.
Hi, my name is Mark Menon, and my question is, how long do you think this process, if it's approved in 6 months, how long do you start to finish will take?
Yeah, great question, right? This is for anything that's going through the process, whether it's with us, with Outrigger, or even a smaller hotel or condo project, this stuff takes a while. But let me take you what I think the time frame is. I would be delighted if you're correct and we get through the approval process in 6 months. But let's just for conversation tonight, say that that's a 9-month process. So we get approvals October of 24. We need then to make sure we got our approvals before we complete all the drawings and spend the multiple $million cost on the design. We've got to complete that. And let's say that we can do that in another 6 months, which takes us to April of 25. We're prudent business people. We're going to pre-sell condos before we start this to make sure that we can get financing for our project. And for this, we think there will be a strong demand, but let's be conservative and say we need 12 months of pre-selling. So that takes us to 426 before we can put a shovel in the ground. Add construction to that, 2 years, and we're talking about opening this 428. If we're lucky and we do it early and we're pre-selling as I'm doing that design I spoke to, late 27, first quarter 28 is if everything goes smoothly. If we get blocks as we go through this process, if we have to resubmit multiple times, and as I said, hopefully we won't have any more storms, but as we're during construction, that happens, obviously that's further delay. So, you know, one of the things that we think about, and I'm sure all of you do as residents, it's going to take a while to get the building and construction through the process to get the economic activity of the island back to where it is or was. And until we do that, you can't support the small businesses, you can't support the restaurants, you can't get that economic engine going, which I certainly think is really important and part of the responsibility I think that we've got as we go through this project. Next question.
Over here.
Hello, Rod House. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Rod.
Thank you for your presentation. Very good. I'm just looking at what you're talking about structurally, design, and you're going to be driving yourselves as a flagship in the area. What star rating do you foresee you're going to set yourself at?
Yeah, I think great question. And we've obviously been doing market research on this and getting market research back on what we see the demand for rooms on the beach and in Lee County to be. And we think if you're thinking about it in terms of stars, probably a 4-star product. We do not think it's a 5-star product. We think also the site is so special, we'll be underserving it with a 3-star project. So if you're thinking about star rating, we think 4 stars. I think the other part of that is, what do we want the style and feel of this to be? And again, I think very much we want this to be a boutique feel. We want this to be a relaxed hotel. We don't want it to feel formal. We don't see it as a big brand like Radisson or a Marriott hotel with a big Marriott sign sitting on it. We want this to be a kind of fun. I was told at another meeting to not use the word funky, but cool and a nice, relaxed luxury hotel that has a great appeal to the area. I think it's really important that the hotel fits with the community that it's in.
I have
Yes.
a couple of Beach Talk radio questions.
Yep.
How many total parking spaces are you anticipating? And will any be open to the public?
So great question. And we've got our traffic consultants working on this at the moment. The short answer to that is plus or minus 300 spaces is what we're envisioning at the moment. But we're working through that process. As we go through this car parking, yes, there's going to the need for public spaces to be able to use the restaurants and to use the beach bar and to use the other amenities that we spoke about is part of that work that we have to work with the traffic consultants and the staff. But the other thing that we will work on as we go through this process is not everybody's parking at the same time. So we don't need to create a parking space for every hotel, every seat at the table, every place on the beach and the rooftop bar, because you're not using all those simultaneously. So there's a bit of a trade here, as obviously some of the restaurant is used by the hotel, some of it is outside, and just going through that is a fairly complex process. But as we're getting data back at the moment, we're looking at parking 300 plus minus at the moment. Next question.
I have a question back here.
Yes.
Hi, Mark. Walter Pilkins.
Hi, Walter.
I live on Bahia Via, which is directly across from the Outrigger. We love the Outrigger. My question is one of your earlier slides, you said that you were only increasing capacity by 30%. And the original Outrigger was only 3 and 4 stories tall. So how can these giant buildings only be a 30% increase? I don't see how that works out.
Sorry, 30% increase in density units. So 144 hotel rooms goes to 196 of actual rooms. Size differs. Clearly, the size of a hotel room in 1960 and a bathroom in 1960 is not going to work in 2028 when we open this up. So different size, height of floors, totally different, right? 7, 8 foot floors back in 1960. If you don't do 9 or 10 foot today, good luck in selling that product. So yes, it's different. And yes, we're asking for more height than was there. That was only 2 stories over parking. You're absolutely right.
Hi, my name is Terry, and I'm excited about the project. I think it looks excellent in terms of thought and for future development. But of course, the concern continues to be with vehicle traffic, and I saw some good ideas. Some have been tried. The shuttle has been here for years and hasn't really changed things, even when we had full capacity for traffic is almost just as bad or worse now, and we have maybe half the residents back. That being said, that's one challenge to all new developers, as obviously several other commercial developments are going to happen. But I'm going to go back to the waterway things. So most of the canals are for residential use, and they're already wide enough for residential use, which are challenged at times even before the storm. Mm-hmm. So with Charlie's Boathouse, and that being said, what it's going to be used for, I would hate to see a marina or something developed there, because that would be really difficult on that particular canal. We're also adverse that the theater is also considering doing something at the end of that canal. So the boat traffic will increase substantially, which will be an issue, one for safety, as well as how it may affect the canals itself. I did hear one proposed thought that the shuttles actually may be brought into somewhere like Fishtail Marine, where they may have the capability to handle that. That seems like a reasonable possibility, but as a boat owner on one of the canals, and knowing that we don't even have half the boat lifts back up or all the residents that can have boat lifts on there, it's be very challenging if there's commercial boat traffic going back and forth on a regular basis.
Yep, and I think great points. Well, let me address those in two different questions, right? One was the comment on traffic. Yes, traffic is an issue. As I said, traffic was an issue. Traffic has been an issue. Traffic now is an issue because you've got so many people coming to the island because very few people are staying here. So it's even worse, plus construction traffic, etc. Yeah, it's really tough, the traffic situation. But it's not any one developer that's going to solve this, right? This is making sure that our city staff, our city leaders, our county, all are thinking about this and we're looking at solutions. There's some really easy things. Let's coordinate timing of traffic lights, really low-hanging fruit, and then there's more complicated things to do, plus all the ideas that I went through on that. I think on the boat traffic, totally understand where you're coming from. No, we're not going to do a marina there. There isn't room for a marina. You can't do a marina. Is there room for a dock down there? Yes. But do we see anything with multiple boats? No. And again, if we were looking at that, it's important that the boat size, if it is used at all, if it is used, that the size is appropriate, that the speed is appropriate, they're not blasting music off and annoying the heck out of everybody. I totally get that. And then I hope that there's nodes, as you're discussing, like Fishtail Marina and other places where the large amounts of traffic can go and it's not, you're not getting them down all of the neighborhood canals. But there will definitely be some need down the neighborhood canals, and it's something that we're definitely considering. But totally, as I said, I live on the water, I get it, and sometimes it's as annoying as hell. So I sympathize with you, but I think there is a way of dealing with it in a thoughtful way. Yes.
Another Beach Talk Radio question. What do you think your chances are to get this approved, and how low will you settle for?
Well, as a businessman, I've always understand it's a really great strategy to negotiate against yourself. So we think that we are presenting a very thoughtful project with great benefits. And yes, with that, we're asking for additional density and height. And we hope that this goes through because, as I said to you, obviously, as a company, we want to see this to be a success. We think it's one of the really important projects for the beach. And as I mentioned, the other large parcel is probably the Wyndham that needs to be thoughtful. But also, it's really important for the south end of the island. Having driven up from Naples tonight and sat in the traffic to get here, I realize that at the moment that if you're on the south end of the island and you want to come to the north end of the island, it takes a long time. And I think it's really important that the south end of the island, which is where most of the condos are and a huge amount of the density is, has the sort of amenities and the restaurants and the bars that they don't have to stay in traffic and not everybody has to come to the north end of the island. And yes, that sounds self-serving, but we think it's real that the south end of the island needs something, needs several things, because that's where a lot of the density is.
I have a question back here.
Yep.
So Mark, hi. Just FYI, great job on building 6 in Waterside. Looks phenomenal. That the condo building.
Thank you, Grandview.
In Grandview, correct.
Yep.
I live next door.
Oh, thank you.
But in regards to that Beach Talk Radio question, is there a plan B if you do not get the height requirement that you're proposing today? Is there a plan B saying, okay, instead of 9 stories, we'll go to 6 stories or something like that?
The quick answer and honest answer to that is no.
Okay.
We're trying to come up with a project that we think works to be able to do everything we've said in terms of amenities. that is economically viable for us as a developer and worth the risk capital that we're going to employ, and satisfies the needs for visitors and local people. And that's the way that we've approached it. And the idea that A, B, or C, let's shuffle the deck and let's present three different things, I don't think is the thoughtful way to go through a very complex development process.
My second question is a business question. Will you or your company or the development offer any type of investment for locals or people who live on the island who would like to invest with you in this project?
Good question, and I haven't had that question before, so that one's interesting. I'd say the obvious way that people can invest is there will be the opportunity for the condo hotel, which will be a rent, buy it, put it into the rental program and get the rental income. I think as a company, are we likely to go to the neighborhood and say, would you like to co-invest with us? That's not our style. As a company, this is a large-scale project. Our cost on this is in excess of a couple of $100 million. And the way that we work is using our own capital and those of a couple of partners that's had a long track record with us that understands the complexities of this sort of project is the way that we put large projects together. And we don't try to work with 15 people, 20 people, 30 people investing in a project. It's just, we found the best way to succeed is to have sophisticated partners, financial partners that understand the risk, understand the financial repercussions, understand that there is a risk because you can go through the market cycles that I had. So highly unlikely that we kind of throw it out to the neighbors. But a great question.
I've got a question on that side and then one down on this side.
The question I have is how much higher are you planning on going than you could normally go? What's the
answer is substantially, right?
How much higher are we going?
Outrigger was 2 stories over parking, but because we're going through the CPD process, the very highest portion of this is 15 stories over parking. So yes, we're asking for a large deviation over what was there previously. But nobody is going to take this parcel and do a 2-story building over parking.
Right.
It would be a travesty for the land, right? If that's the best you get. And it's one of the very best pieces of land on the island. I don't think that would be a great way of approaching trying to build Fort Myers Beach back. And yes, I've got a vested interest in this, but just being, kind of serious about it. You've got to be able to do something that's got market demand, and 2 stories over parking is not going to be it.
And then when you do get to the point where you're going to start thinking about these waterways and the traffic on the water, will we be informed as to what's going on?
Yep.
And have some kind of input to that?
Yeah. What we'll do is certainly meet with our neighbors. If you take, the approach of us as a business, it is to meet with people that agree with us and people that don't and get their input. We think it's important. We know that people aren't always going to agree with us. We don't expect them to. And so therefore, yes, it will be a continual process of back and forth education to the public, to our neighbors. And, if HOAs and other people want to meet with our team, we're certainly happy to do that.
So if you don't go through the CBD and you do what the comp plan says, how high would your building be? How many stories?
So if we don't go for a comp plan amendment and you stick to it, you're talking about 2 stories over parking. Yep. We don't go through the CBD process.
How will you help with the infrastructure and the pipe?
How will we help?
With the infrastructure along Fort Myers Beach Estero Boulevard?
Well, if we're talking about infrastructure in terms of water, sewer, utilities, and so on, obviously that all has to have to be built for the capacity of what we're talking about and our neighbors. So that's just all part of the design process as we're going through this.
And one over here. Oh, after.
No,
go ahead.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I'm very excited about having some fun entertainment and things on the south end. We live in Leonardo Arms, and we don't have that much on the south end. So my question is, first of all, is it going to be the outside bar still going to be Outrigger, the name?
I think the answer to that is at the moment we feel yes. We think the legacy of the Outrigger and having the Outrigger bar on the beach would be very nice, tied to the past and instantly recognizable. What do we think the hotel's going to be called? I have no idea. But do we want to keep the Outrigger, and do we think the Outrigger bar is a great approach? Yeah.
Will there be live music that people can walk to, like outdoors?
I hope so.
Like
Yeah.
we used to do
Yes,
that at
yes.
Pictures
Yeah,
all the time
yes.
and really enjoyed
Yes.
that.
No, I think, again, we want that fun, vibrant spirit, and music on the beach would be great.
And lastly, like they did at Margaritaville, will you be offering discounts for residents that are 33931 area code or zip code?
Again, no, too early to tell, and I understand the desire for that. But I think, again, we've got to work through the business plan. And is that off drinks? Is that off food? Is that off residences? Can I get 25% off a condo if I'm a resident? Probably not, right? Yeah.
I have another online submission question. What type of guarantees will there be to the town for the proposed public access spaces to ensure they get what is promised?
I think that's pretty simple, right? We're going to get to the stage where we have an approved design, and the staff and the city is going to hold us accountable to that. The same as every other project you do. You don't submit a plan with a lovely beach access and halfway through construction you build to the setback and you ignore it. That's not going to fly. So two things. One is to get it right to begin with, then we'll build it. And we haven't had 3 successful decades in business by doing a bait and switch halfway through design, and would never ever get anything with a final approval and be able to move anybody into it anyway. So, I mean, I understand the question. We live with this every day.
Hi, Mark. Would you have any meeting space at this?
Yes, we would. And we're just talking that through, quite honestly, and we're starting to talk to operators, and just really early in the conversation with operators, but meeting rooms and meeting space and places the businesses can meet or local groups can meet, I think is an important part of it, this working for the community. Yeah, good question.
Are you getting a tax break from Lee County to build the hotel?
I wish. If you know how I can get one, give us a call.
Mark? Mark, I attended your presentation at Grandview. Grandview was an absolutely stellar, getting in the door and being able to say that. The thing I do like with your presentation is you've got a big property that cost a lot of money for the land, 3 acres. If in fact, and it's mixed use, to have something presented that is mixed use with public use, private condos, and the hotel use is probably, to me, the best of what potentially can be there, along with restrooms on the beaches and showers for the public to be able to use, which is not really down mid-island and down south at all. To me, that is stellar. Additionally, too, once you get past the curve where the Catholic Church is, the whole feel of Fort Myers Beach changes. And my history of Fort Myers Beach goes back to 1968 with my family. So to have something for those of us mid-island and south without getting involved in Margaritaville and that whole thing is to me a win.
Well, thank you very much. Anything else coming in on Beach Talk Radio or through our site?
Actually, a follow-up question on the bathrooms that came in through Beach Talk. How will you be able to build the showers and restrooms on the ground level?
So you have to do what's known as a hardened structure, right? So this has to go to be able to withstand all of the wave action and the potential storm. So really what you end up doing is building basically a waterproof bunker at that ground level. It can only be a certain size. You can't do too much of this, but there is a way of doing this. And again, it's got to be very thoughtful, worked out with the various jurisdictions, but this can be done. And again, we've got to be very careful about, obviously, the utilities, power, and all of that comes into this. Yes, sorry.
I live on Bay Beach Lane, so we
Yes.
have watched the progression of Grandview through all of those many, many years. And I know initially it was a concern there with construction traffic going all the way down to the end of Waterside.
Yep.
And it's my understanding that there were off-site areas where workers would come and park and then kind of get in big vans or whatever and come down to minimize the traffic.
Yep.
Also on the south end of the island over the years, we have all witnessed the road construction projects, the water, the sewer, all that kind of stuff. So we've all kind of, and now we've got the bridge coming in that way. So we're all on the south end, been sitting through a lot of traffic for a long time. We also are noticing, and this is actually a good thing, that with all of the reconstruction and renovation that is going on, the traffic for the workers has absolutely exacerbated what was already a bad problem to begin with. So ultimately, my question, which keys off both Grandview on Bay Beach Lane and also on Estero, which is a much bigger thoroughfare than my, with all due respect, dinky little road. What is your plan or vision for getting all of this multitude of workers down to the south end of the island so we don't just get even more gridlock than we already are?
Yeah, no, great question. Any large construction project creates, while you're doing it, construction traffic, worker traffic. And as I said, we created 400 jobs at Grandview. There'll be substantially more created during construction. But with that definitely comes construction traffic. Like Grandview, we sit down and at London Bay, we don't do the construction of these large structures. We are excellent at doing single family, and we've done that for 3 decades. But when we look at these large scale projects, we bring in very substantial GCs, general contractors, to work with us as a partner on construction, like at Grandview, where we had Suffolk Construction. And one of the ways that we qualified them is the logistics of how we do this to create the least interruption or less interruption for the neighbors so that it becomes tolerable, or as tolerable as we can make it during construction. Because yes, it's painful as this stuff goes on. And at Grandview, we had parking outside of the main gates. We had all of the offices outside of the main gates. The car parking for the workers were down there. They were bussed into the building. The same with Moorings Park, Grand Lake, the senior project I spoke to you. At times, we've had over 500 workers down there. And that is an active community with residents in it, just like Bay Beach. And again, we've had off-site logistics, off-site busing, and it's actually worked very, very well. It's darned expensive, but it does work, and neighbors certainly appreciate it. But great points, a great question. And the second one, there was a part of that. What was the second part of that? Or did I answer it? No? Okay, thanks. Yes, the answer to that is yes. Do we have the site yet do we know how those logistics work today? No, but we need to work that through, just like we did at Grandview. It'll be slightly different.
Hi, my name is John. I appreciate the presentation. It's an exciting plan that you have here. We live on the south end of the island. We've spent a lot of time at the Outrigger. Pictures of my son when he was 3 running naked on the beach up there. It was near and dear to our heart. It does make me happy to make something down on the south end that still has a community feel, to where me and my wife can get on our bikes with our kids and go get a drink for the sunset. The traffic, you're not going to meet a person on this island that doesn't complain to you about the traffic, right? But the reality is that before the storm, it took me and my wife 2.5 hours to get from the south end to the north end to get our kids to baseball practice. That problem's always been here, and I don't expect that the storm is going to fix it. My question to you is, with the space across the street at Charlie's, then you've talked about holding off for a little bit and seeing what market demands or what can drive it over there. Is there any thought on your end to making that space maybe something real low density that will be helpful to the community, some type of green? I know we got residents that live right next to there. I'm further away, so I don't want to suggest what to do with it, but something that would be more of value to our community instead of a potential development parcel, just like a park, but maybe something different. Because as you said, a lot of our vegetation, the landscape was taken out, and there is no shade there. It would be nice to have something across that street that would just help, a small portion help, instead of just viewing that as a future developable parcel.
Yeah, well, thanks for the positive comments, and we get the South End traffic situation and creating something exciting down there for the South End. I mean, do I think we're going to create a park? No, I don't. So I think that'd be a lovely idea. But again, the land itself is very valuable. I will be very thoughtful in what we do and how we approach it. Do I know exactly what it is? No.
And granted, just to follow up on that, I understand the land's very valuable, but you're also asking for way above and beyond of what we're used to giving anybody. So please take that into consideration as you think about it. I know it's maybe a big ask, but you're asking for a way bigger ask on the side of it to where what you want to develop. So just looking at it with a clear eye.
Yeah, thank you.
Mark, I think we've concluded our questions.
No, there's one over here.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, I'll make this quick. I was just curious, if the project goes forward, do you foresee bringing it online all at one time, or would it be a time phased? Would you sell the condos first and to fund the rest of it? Or how do you see that happening?
Yeah, no, great question. In terms of phasing of the project, what is our preference to do this? Clearly, it can be phased, right? We could build the hotel and hotel condos as one portion and then do the residences as a second portion. But all of it is sitting over this 2-story podium, which is the car parking and the infrastructure. So whatever we do, we're going to be building that. Sorry, I'm going to get out the light. We're going to build that podium. And a lot of the amenities in terms of the pools have to go in. So I think at the moment our preference is that the revenue that we will get pre-construction will be for the hotel condos and the condos. And with good pre-sales of those, you're not going to get, obviously, revenue from a hotel until you open the hotel. So our preference would actually to build it in one go rather than in a phased construction. But phase can be done. At the moment, the Ritz-Carlton residences we're doing at Estero Bay is phased construction. We're putting all of the podium in with all of the pools and building that structure, and then putting the first tower in with all of the amenities, and then the second tower goes up with that. So both can be done. It's cleaner and quicker if you can get it all done. Obviously, financial risk goes up, so we need to be sure that we've got the pre-sales. But great question, thank you. Yes, one more. But
you have the sorry. No microphone. So those 4-story buildings, which are currently going up on the beach, are yours?
No.
They're not?
No. That's a different developer.
Because I
go 12. Go 12. Go side 12. Yeah,
Oh.
no, that's not us.
Because I thought you guys had the London Bay signage on the fence.
No,
in front
we're
of it.
next to that. So we fenced ours off and put our signage and scrim around that site, and they're adjacent
All right,
to
so
us.
my other question is mute then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, yes.
Is there any connection between the salt leak development from an operation perspective and what you're planning here?
Operationally, no.
Do I think there's a combination there with it? Yes. I mean, Salt Leak is pretty contained the way it is, right? Arena, golf course, 9-hole golf course, clubhouse, and in the future, racket and tennis, and it's a pretty developed community. But we think that we'll definitely have people who will like the beach. I think we'll probably get some sales where people might take hotel condo and have one for the family, so that they've got the beach piece of it as well as the other piece. Yes, Angela? Are we good? All right, well, there'll be opportunities in the future for further input. Thank you for being very thoughtful, much appreciated. Thank you. No,